Welcome to Topsail Insider's Wilmington series, where we spotlight the local businesses and events that create the rich culture, diverse communities, and dynamic experiences and make Wilmington, North Carolina a lively coastal hub. Coming up, join me for an interview with the co-owner of one of my favorite spots in Wilmington, Cape Fearless Extreme. Mr. Ron England will tell us about their wonderful aerial adventures in the trees with ropes and zip lining, or you can battle it out in their outdoor paintball facility. Here we go. Experience a new level of luxury on Topsail Island at Saltwater Suites in Surf City, North Carolina. With no nightly minimum, you can enjoy short getaways or an extended stay. Each suite features luxury bedding, full kitchens with dining tables and dishwashers. And all suites other than the 3 ADA suites have full-size washers and dryers. And don't forget about those beautiful ocean views. 24/7 self-check-in provides a hassle-free and seamless experience. Saltwater Suites is the perfect choice for your next beach getaway. Book your next Topsail visit at saltwatertopsail.com or call 910-886-4818. Saltwater Suites, Topsail Island's premier luxury hospitality experience. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Topsail Insider's brand new Wilmington series. My name is Krista, and I am your host. Today, for my very first interview for Wilmington, I am interviewing Mr. Ron England. He is the co-owner of Cape Fearless Extreme Aerial Adventures and Paintball Park. It's really just one of my most favorite places in the Wilmington area. Me and the kids went, and we absolutely loved it. It's actually in Riegelwood, to be exact. So welcome, Ron. Thank you so much for joining me and being my very first podcast for Wilmington.
Thanks for having me here. It's an honor to be the first Wilmington area business included.
I could not think of a better one. It's an exciting adventure park, and I really want to highlight it. For people who don't know what Cape Fearless Extreme is, just put it in a nutshell form so we all know what we're talking about here.
Cape Fearless Extreme is an aerial adventure park. Lots of people have seen shows like American Ninja. So it's a park based on things like that, where there's a lot of midair obstacles, zip lines, cargo nets, swinging bridges, but everything is built outside. So it's a lot of all the fun stuff you used to do as a kid, but with very little risk because of our safety systems.
Yes.
We also offer paintball in the woods. You know, there is a couple of places in the general area, one in Wilmington where you get to play paintball inside, but most people prefer to play paintball out in the woods and dress up in the camo and play war games.
War games, exactly.
Exactly, right? Run around in the woods and act crazy like everybody did when they were a kid. And then part of our aerial adventure, we have a couple of different packages that we'll talk about as we get further along.
Okay.
But one of the things that we have that's kind of unique to us is we have a kids course that is built exclusively for kids, no adults on it at all.
Okay. What is the age group for the kids course?
For the kids course, it's ages 7 to 11.
Okay.
Usually we say 7 to 10, but every once in a while somebody gets a kind of a timid 10-year-old or 11-year-old, or they have a younger brother, younger sister who's gone up on the course and they want to do it with them. But that course is built exclusively for children. We don't let adults up on the course unless their kids are the only ones out on it. Otherwise, adults have a tendency to ruin the experience for kids. You know, they want to do too much of the clicking for them and give them too much advice on how to do the different elements. And it really is experiential education.
Yeah.
So it's good for them to kind of figure it out on their own.
For the aerial adventures that are for the adults, they can go up at 10 or 11 years old?
They can go up at 10 years old, but they have to have an overhead reach of 5 feet, 11 inches. And a lot of people see that, on the website, 5 feet, 11 inches. Oh, my kid's not that tall. That's not their height. That's their overhead reach. Toes and nose up against the wall, reach overhead without tippy-toeing as high as they can. And wherever that top finger reaches, if it reaches 5 foot, 11 inches, they are tall enough to go out on our course.
And there's a weight limit at all?
There's really not a weight limit. So we say 275 because that's what fits in the harness comfortably. Our zip lines, especially in our lifelines, they are rated. I mean, you could hang school buses off of them. And we tell people all the time, you'll pull the trees out of the ground before you'll break the lifeline.
I know there were some courses up in the mountains where you had to be at least 80 pounds. And I know that my 11-year-old probably wouldn't hit that mark. So is there a weight minimum?
We don't have a weight minimum. Our zip lines especially are constructed a little differently than they do in the mountains. A lot of the ones out in the mountains where you're going longer distances or you're at a greater height, they have a braking system, where our zip lines are designed so that they're gravity braking, which means they kind of have like a little belly built into them. So as you start to build up speed going downhill, you hit that belly and then you start to go uphill, which slows you down. Now, sometimes we have people who don't make it all the way to the end, but it's a simple grab onto the zip line and hand over hand, pull yourself out of it. Got it. How long has Cape Fearless been in business? So we just finished our 6th summer, so our 5th year. We did a soft opening 5 years ago in April and had a grand opening in the middle of June. So we just finished up our 6th summer.
Did it take right off, or you had to slowly build up your publicity?
It didn't take right off. It takes Wilmington area especially is very much a word of mouth city. So you've got to spread word of mouth around. We tried a lot of different advertising methods, radio ads, print ads in magazines and newspaper, billboards. We found that we get most of our traction from social media. We're currently running TV commercials, some short TV commercials on the WECT a couple times a month to help get the word out. But mostly, most of our business comes through
the social media
and Facebook especially.
Yeah, that makes sense. I've seen the ads on Facebook, actually.
That's good. That means it's working then.
Yeah, yeah. I messed up the name Cape Fear and then Cape Fearless. So since I messed that up, I just really love the name that you referenced, our beautiful Cape Fear River down here. So I just wanted to know who came up with that really cool name. Was that you? Do you get credit for that?
No, that was entirely my partner, Christopher Sherry, my business partner, Christopher Sherry. When we first came up with the idea of what we were going to do down here, we were sitting around kicking around names. And Chris and his girlfriend at the time, who's now his wife, and my girlfriend at the time, who's now my wife, we were all just coming up with all different names. And Chris is the one who came up with Cape Fearless Extreme, and that really stuck.
Yeah, it works well.
We wanted to add the extreme part in because what we do try to make it so that the course is family friendly, but our last element, especially on our adult course, it's on the extreme side.
Is it really?
Yeah, it's probably about 25% of the people who start out at the beginning of the adult course finish it. It's tough, especially during the summer. You're already hot, you're sweaty, you're looking up at this last course, and you're like, nah,
I'm out. I'm tapping out. Oh no!
But it's funny because we've we get all ages, we get all demographics. We get everyone from 10-year-olds to people in their 70s, people who are office people, athletes. We get a lot of military from Camp Lejeune and Fort Bragg. I'm a Fort Bragg alumni, so I'll never use the new name. But
thank you for the service, by the way.
It was my pleasure to serve. So we get a lot of military as well, and
they must love it.
They do. They have a great time out there. But even those folks, not everybody makes it through black.
What?
Absolutely.
All right. I don't even know if I want to try it now.
We've seen people in their 60s and early 70s make it through black, and then you have some folks who go out there and you look at them like, and these folks got to be gym rats. They're going to sail through this, and sometimes they take the longest.
It's just a height thing?
It's a height thing, I think, and a concentrating on the task at hand, and the height is all just perceived risk because all of our lifelines are overhead. So once you clip into the lifeline,
you're good to go.
If you were to lose your mind and jump off the platform, you're going to fall about 6 inches, no matter where you are on the course. So each course gets a little higher off the ground and the elements get a little bit more difficult. But the height really doesn't come into play, but it does for people's perception of the risk.
It's a psychological thing that happens. Okay, let's talk about you, Ron. Where are you from originally, and how did you get interested in aerial adventures?
I'm originally from the Philadelphia area. Grew up in Philadelphia, left home, went in the Army, got stationed at Fort Bragg.
For how many years? I'm sorry.
I was 10 years at Fort Bragg, and I was paratrooper with the 82nd Airborne.
You got no fear of heights.
When you're standing in the door of an aircraft looking down at everything that looks really, really tiny, everybody's afraid of heights. But they spend a lot of time in jump school working on trusting your equipment, right? So same thing with our equipment, right? Once you learn how to trust your equipment, you put a lot of faith in it. So got out of the military, moved back up to the Pennsylvania area, moved up into the Pocono Mountains area of Pennsylvania because the Philadelphia area is way too crowded. I had never moved back to Philly after I left. Go back to visit sometimes, but just way too crowded.
Yep, family's still there.
Have family still there. Mm-hmm. Moved up into the Pocono Mountains area and eventually started working for a very large resort in the Poconos. Very large, like they sit on 5,500 acres. They're their own zip code.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
So the resort itself is 10 square miles, and it's a very old resort, opened up in 1928. Open year round. They have their own ski slopes. They've got lakes. So I started working for them as a ski patroller. I was a combat medic in the Army. So I started ski patrolling for them, and I would spend all day skiing. And it was great. It was a lot of fun. Then towards the end of the season, the general manager said, hey, we're looking for somebody to kind of oversee the aquatics program if you want to stick around. I said, yeah, that sounds great. So I spent 3 or 4 years going from hanging out at the lakes and the pool in the summertime and skiing in the wintertime and going back to the pool in the summertime. And it was great, And I eventually
that sounds wonderful.
Yeah, but eventually I got bored with it, and I decided I was going to leave and try to do something else. And the GM talked to me. So, well, what do you want to do? I said, I'd really like to get involved in adventure sports somewhere. That's kind of where my heart is. I work as a whitewater guide. I train whitewater guides, And
where was that?
That was in on the Lehigh River in northeastern PA. So I was working part time as a whitewater guide, and it's not rip roaring class 5 rapids, but it's 2s and 3s, so it's a good family river. So he said, well, why don't you put together some ideas and we'll start an adventure program here.
He really wanted to keep you there.
I think it was more that at that time the Poconos was becoming a place for the newlyweds and the nearly dead. So they were losing that family element.
Okay, yeah.
And the resort had some great things, right? They had skiing, they had swimming lakes, they had fly fishing and sport shooting, but they really didn't have anything going on for that like teenager, early 20s, late 20s, early 30s active crowd. Lots of hiking trails, but nothing that was really going to grab families and want to keep them there. We started off with building a rock climbing wall.
Nice.
And opening up paintball fields, and that did really well. And after about 2 years, I decided I'm going to try to push opening up an aerial adventure course here. So I got all the information together and got the quotes from the builders and took it to the board of directors, and they gave me the okay. So we built an aerial adventure park there. And once that was up and running, I hired one of the guides who used to work with me at the whitewater rafting company, Chris Sherry. Chris actually came on as a ski instructor and then stayed over into the next season when we opened up the aerial adventure course. He was one of the first guys to go through guide training for the aerial adventure course. And then I promoted him up to be my assistant manager at the Adventure Center. That's what we kind of called that area, was the Adventure Center. So as I got promoted up through the company, Chris kind of got promoted up behind me.
Yeah.
So when I left the Adventure Center and became the director of recreation, I had picked up a couple of additional departments. Chris got promoted into the Adventure Center manager position. And then I got promoted up into the executive committee. And Chris got promoted into a new position, a guest service manager. So we both found ourselves going from being in the outdoors, rock climbing and aerial adventure and playing paintball and skiing and hanging out at the lakes to being in the resort itself and shirts and ties and working in an office. So I'm, now I'm behind a desk and I'm the director of recreation, and I'm not really spending a whole lot of time doing any kind of recreation stuff.
You climbed the ladder, but
it climbed the ladder, and it's definitely one of those be careful what you wish for because you just might get it kind of stories. And all along I was thinking, man, it would be great to be part of the executive committee for this resort. And then I got up there, and it just keeps you from doing all the things you loved. So Chris and I, over the years, we always joked around about if we could just pick the aerial adventure up and move it south, it would be great because, aerial adventures in northeastern PA, we get a lot of snow, and we would have people do it in the snow. We would have people who would ski in the morning and then do the aerial adventure in the afternoon. And it was great, but my knees were getting bad, and I had less and less interest in being out in the cold once I got to the point where I couldn't ski anymore. So we started kicking around the idea of moving it all south, and kind of started out as a joke. As years would go by, we were joking about it less and less. And then one fall, we came down to the area. We came down to the Oak Island area with our girlfriends and rode around checking out places. And everybody thought, yeah, we could all live down here. This is good.
Both you and Chris's family. Yep. Y'all came down here together.
Yeah, all four of us.
Just visiting Oak Island?
Just visiting Oak Island, hanging out on the beach, brought our motorcycles down with us and rode around and did some riding. And everybody kind of thought, yeah, we can live in this area. So then we started talking about it in more seriousness. So we started looking for land, and we had a great realtor down in the area. Her name's Kathy Greer. She works out of the Carolina Beach, Wilmington area. I would call Kathy and email Kathy with all these crazy properties I found, and she would go check them out. And she did a lot of the legwork for us, ruled out a lot of the property because a lot of it was how good are the trees, and the quality of the trees.
Oh, because you're going to be working up in those trees. Okay.
Right. So we needed property with good trees,
big,
and good
mature,
solid trees. And we're in the coastal Carolina area, that coastal plain where beautiful areas, but there's some areas where there's just not a lot of great trees. So she found a couple of properties for us, and we all came back down. All four of us came back down to check out these properties, and we did some walking around in the woods. And funny enough, she showed us one property that was perfect, except there was too much water on the property. It was just a lot of standing water. And we were like, man, this one would be great if it wasn't for all this water.
Yeah.
And the folks who owned that property, they had their real estate agent there as well. And he said, they own property on the other side of the road here. If you want to take a look at it, it's not really for sale, but let's go take a look. And we got over there and realized this is the spot.
Oh, really?
So he said, I can talk to them to see if they would be interested in selling some of it. So we put a bid on 25-ish acres. Mm-hmm. We gave our price to Kathy, what we thought would be good. And we did our normal going back and forth. But just on the drive home back to Pennsylvania, we had settled on a price. And then it became very real at that point. We're like, all right, we just put a bid in on some land. So now what?
They hadn't gotten back to you yet. You just told them this is what we'll pay.
Right.
And then you on the drive back.
Yeah. And they accepted our offer.
Really? Right away?
Pretty much right away. Within a few hours, they accepted our offer. So then it was just a matter of coordinating with everybody when we were going to be able to pick up and move down here.
Wow.
Luckily for both Chris and myself, we had girlfriends who now are wives that have very good careers. So it allowed us to kind of pick up our lives and come down here. And, it was a solid year once we got down here before we could get everything built and opened up. Once we got the ball moving, it was quite an adventure.
From romantic couples retreats to multi-family beach weeks, Turtle Shell Properties offers 26 vacation rentals across Topsail Island. Choose from a range of meticulously renovated and newly built private homes and rental units by real estate developer and #1 best-selling author of Are We There Yet?, Jeffrey Peterson. Whether you're looking for a cozy, tranquil bungalow or spacious luxury, you'll enjoy stylish, well-maintained rentals, professional property management, and a top-tier cleaning crew that goes above and beyond. And they're all dog-friendly. Turtle Shell Properties has something for every size, every style, and every budget. Book direct and save at turtleshellrentals.com or call 910-328-2341. Turtle Shell Properties. Stay your way on Topsail Island. So getting that course set up, what are some of the challenges that you ran into while designing it or getting it built?
The biggest challenge we had was that nobody had ever built one in the area the way our builders build. So we're very lucky. We're the only aerial adventure in coastal Carolina that is built entirely in the trees. We didn't have to build any towers out of dimensional lumber. We didn't have to sink any telephone poles. Everything we do is in the trees.
Wow.
So that was a challenge for our county building inspectors who had never, we're in Columbus County, so they had never experienced anything like this. They had never seen anything like this. So there was a lot of challenges getting that kind of pushed through.
Did you have to get permitting for?
Right. We had to get permitting, but they didn't know what kind of permits we needed because they're like, well, you're not building a house.
Yeah.
There's no electricity in the tree, so
there was no rule book for
right. They were struggling to find out what kind of permitting they could charge us for, really. And then when they came out to inspect it, the one inspector was an older gentleman. He looked up and goes, I'm not going up there to inspect it. So he had to get a younger guy out there to go out and check it out. And, so that was one of the challenges. The other challenge was we originally had a build date to start in September. Our builder had just finished a course down in Tampa, Florida area, and they were going to come right to us and start in September. So they built down in Tampa over the summer, and they had got hit with a hurricane like a couple of weeks after they opened the course up. So our builder, one of the things that they do is, emergency repairs always come before new builds.
Yeah.
So to get the park back open. So then that delayed our build. So what was supposed to start in September didn't start until January.
So they literally built it in Tampa, and then a hurricane, and before they could even leave Tampa.
They were gone for a couple of weeks, but it came through and did some damage. So
wow.
That's kind of the nature of living in the South, right? Yep. We get some hurricanes sometimes.
We do. How often do you have to replace the equipment and the safety gear up in the trees and just what we wear on our bodies?
So most of our equipment has a lifespan of 5 years. There are some specific pieces of rescue equipment that our guides use that if they're used in a certain fashion, they have to be replaced faster. But we try not to use them in that fashion. Basically, it's something called a fall factor. So with certain pieces of equipment, if somebody is climbing and they fall and the equipment catches them, it puts enough stress on it that for safety reasons, you'll want to replace those lanyards.
Okay, they've been stretched to their limit.
Right.
Basically.
Not that they're really unsafe, but it's being sure that they are.
An abundance of caution.
Absolutely abundance of caution. In our business, that's pretty important.
Yeah, of course. Outside of the gear, are there any safety measures and training that take place there?
So one of the things that we're really proud of is that we have what's called an auto belay system. So all of our guests are in Petzl climbing harnesses, and then there are 2 lanyards that come off that are called clickets. And basically the way they're designed to kind of simplify it, you have these 2 lanyards, and once they clip onto the steel cable, they have a little trigger mechanism on each handle. And once you pull the trigger on one and disconnect one, the other one locks shut.
Oh.
So that prevents it. Even if you pull the trigger, you can pull it as hard as you want. It's not going to come undone from the lifeline until the first one is clipped back into something steel. So you can't even you can't fool it with your finger or with a stick or anything like that. It's got to clip back into steel. The industry standard is just 2 regular carabiners. And when we first opened the park up in Pennsylvania, that's what we were using with 2 steel carabiners. And, you would hear people click, click. And then as they would get good at it, they would start unclipping faster and faster until you'd eventually see them standing up on the platform with a carabiner in each hand. And the
they
guides
don't even realize it.
Right. They don't even realize it because they're getting so comfortable with the equipment. Yeah. And the guides are having heart attacks, and you spend a lot of time yelling at guests to, make sure you clip back in, clip back in. And it just had this feel like you were constantly being this taskmaster.
Yeah.
So when we got the opportunity to do our own park, we spent the extra money on the smart belay system. And now our guides get to spend a lot of time just kind of coaching and having good personalities with the guests.
So this is not like a desk job. You don't get to come in and sit back and relax. You're responsible for someone's safety. So how do you find your guides, and how do you train them, and how long do you train them before you let them loose?
So a lot of our guides come from guests. So we have guests who go through and they'll come back and they'll say, man, we really enjoyed that. If you're ever hiring, let us know.
Oh, that's great.
Those are our best. We love hearing those. And we also do some advertising on Facebook or on Indeed. And really for our guides, our target doesn't necessarily have to be somebody who's got a lot of experience with climbing or anything like that. Or we want people to have great personalities. We can train people to use equipment. We could train them how to do all the rescues. We could train them what to do to help guests out, how to coach, how to memorize the demo speech. You can't train personality. So if they don't have a people personality, if they're not wanting to go out there with the group and have fun and get paid to do what everybody else is paying to do, you just can't train that. That's something that they either have in them or that they don't have in them.
And you get that general feeling like in the interview process?
We do. The first thing we do for the interview is we talk to them for a couple minutes, but then we send them out on the course and see, because if they don't have to be great at the course at first, but they have to be able to do it. They can't be afraid of heights, and they've got to be able to do all parts of the course. And then not only do all parts of the course, but then we always refer to it as rescues, but that's really kind of misleading because we don't get a lot of rescues. What we do get is a lot of assists where people will hit their limit. They'll say, I'm done. I don't want to go any further. Can you get me down? And we can lower people from anywhere on the course.
Okay.
True rescues are when somebody they just can't go any further. They can't assist in any way. And that's very, very rare for us to get that. And one of the reasons it's rare is we spend a lot of time with our guides training them to be up in the trees with the guests, interacting with the guests, or guiding from certain points on the course where they're already up in the trees. So they can do a lot of coaching, encouragement, a little advice on how to get through, so they can get the guests to a point where they either finish the course or finish at least that element and get to a platform where we can lower them to the ground a lot more comfortably. So anywhere on the course, though, people can get lowered. We've had people lowered on the demo course, and we've had people lowered at the beginning of the beginner course, and we've had people lowered almost at the end of the black course. They were almost at the end, and their tank hit empty, and they just couldn't finish it.
Okay.
Our guides, training really doesn't take that long because we concentrate really a whole lot of our time on how to actually do the assists and do the rescues. We have a big training manual. We send that to the guides beforehand. We count on them being adults and read, about all the equipment and the nomenclature of it. So most of our time is spent working with ropes, tying knots, learning the equipment, learning the rescue equipment, and the various lowers. Usually if we have a decent size training class, we can get it knocked out in 4 days, but it's 4 long days.
Yeah.
4 very long physical days. What we find sometimes is the trainees kind of hit their limit, just like when you have kids in school too long, right? So they're kind of checking out a little bit. And so we'll just call it for the day. And sometimes it extends training a little bit, but it's one of those things you have to have their focus. And our guides, I give them a lot of credit because they've got to be ready to go out on that zip line or out on that wire at any point to get somebody safely lowered to the ground.
Well, I am curious now that we're talking about lowering them. How do you lower them?
Our guides have some climbing equipment that they carry that the guests don't carry. That's designed specifically for that purpose. So once they get their climbing rope, they hook into the guest's harness, and then they have a device called an ID that kind of manages the rope for them. Right?
Oh.
It allows the rope only to travel in one direction.
Okay.
So they don't really have to worry about balancing out the weight, and that ID gets clipped into the lifeline. So the course is doing a lot of the work for us. But where it really becomes a challenge is, and it doesn't happen to us very often, luckily, but if somebody gets to the point where they're just completely spent, they can't even stand up, they're just hanging in the harness, they've used every bit of energy they can't, we have to be able to lift them up enough to disconnect their safety lines and lower them to the ground. So where we have that 275 kind of that we say is the comfort level, we've had some guides out there who have been relatively small females, weigh 110, 115 pounds, and they have to be able to figure out a way of lifting 275, standing on a little tiny cable. So we have equipment that allows them to use a little bit of mechanical advantage, set up a 3-to-1 system. And then once they learn how to use that, it's great to see little 110 pound, 115 pound guides lifting up people that weigh 2 times as much as them. It's always fun to see guests say, oh, that guy would never be able to lift me up. We always kind of laugh about it. Like, our training gets pretty intense. We one of our guides gets to play our victim, and he always shows up with a backpack, and he throws some extra weights in the backpack when he goes out there to be the victim. And he's a screamer. And he's gotten so loud where one of the neighbors called the fire department one day, and the fire department showed up because he was yelling help so loud they thought somebody was really stuck up on the course. And but he does funny. He does a great job of being a victim for training.
That's great. Let's talk about the aerial adventure for 10 years old and up.
Our aerial adventure for 10 years old and up is there's 2 different options. There's the half course, which will include the safety demo, our green and blue course, and our 650-foot zip line. And then people in the half course can do as much of that as they want. Or our full course, which includes the safety demo, green and blue, but also our red and black course, our most difficult course, and the 650-foot zip line. Everything is challenged by choice, so we don't force people to keep going. If they hit their limit, they hit their limit. We try to encourage them to keep going, but once they decide that they're done, we can get them to the ground safely. Our half course takes about 2.5 hours on average to do. And our full course takes about 4 hours to do.
Okay. And pricing?
Pricing for the half course is $50 per person. And the full course, depending on if you go in the morning or in the afternoon, is $60 in the morning, $65 in the afternoons. Our kids course is a 2-hour session. They get to do as many laps as they can in that 2 hours.
Mm-hmm.
And that's $30 for 2 hours. We do have a 2-child minimum. And the reason we do that is with what we pay our guides. If we did less, and we just did 1 kid out there, we would be operating in the negatives.
You really would.
Yeah.
I was about to say, that's a really good deal.
It is a very good deal. And
I think that's very affordable for what you get for 2 hours of that adventure.
Sure,
yeah.
Sure. And even the full course at 65, you're out there for 4 hours. I mean, there's not a lot you can go do that it's family friendly where you're out there for 4 hours with a guide and a small group where you get to spend that kind of time in the woods.
Yeah.
Our group maximums for the adult aerial adventure is 16 people. We try not to let the group get any bigger than 16. For our kids course, we try not to let it get any bigger than 8.
Let's talk about your paintball.
So our paintball course is a 2-hour session. It is $30 per person and includes all of your rental equipment, unlimited air. We use compressed air out there.
Okay.
Unlimited air and 100 paintballs, includes your referee. And then people can buy additional paint as they play.
Okay.
So we always get asked, how long do 100 paintballs last? And it really depends on the person. We've seen some people who are kind of timid, never played before, go out there with 100 rounds, and they don't do a lot of shooting. And then we've seen those 10, 11, 12-year-old boys who spend a lot of time playing Call of Duty on Xbox, and they'll go through 100 in the first game. We sell the additional paint on the field, and as long as they have a credit card on file with us, they can buy as much paint as they want. Absolutely.
Okay.
But with kids, we always make sure the parents are aware of that beforehand and find out if they want to set up a cap on it. Because sometimes the parents aren't really paying attention. They're kind of hanging out on the picnic tables. The kids are playing paintball, and they just say, let them refill. Well, if we let them refill it as often as they wanted to, they could be rolling out of there with 3 or 4 cases, which is great for us. But then the parent has a surprise on their credit card at the end of the day. So we usually try to talk to them beforehand and say, hey, what do you want to limit them to?
And speaking of limits, how many people do you allow on that field all at once?
We usually try to keep it to 20 or less. And we have a minimum of 6 with that, because less than 6 doesn't make for a good game. And more than 20 on that field, that starts to feel a little crowded. So we still want that feeling like there's a lot of bunkers to hide behind, a lot of trees to hide behind. You can crawl around, great places to get cover and great places to go for a run and grab the flag. And if it gets too big, it becomes a little less fun. And if it's too small, it's definitely a lot less fun.
Yeah. You do offer where some people can come and do both, your aerial course and paintball, all in the same day. Tell me about that.
We do have that bundled together. That is great to do one part of it in the morning, one part in the afternoon. We usually suggest doing the course in the morning and then in the afternoon do paint, or we cater it to the group.
Okay.
It's just that sometimes if they play paint in the morning, they get pretty hot and sweaty and tired, and then they get out on the course and
they're spent already.
Yeah, they're already spent. So it really depends on the group, what they want to do and what their main focus is. We set that up with a little bit of discounted pricing, and that depends on the number of people that they're going to have that discount is. That's one of those things that we try to make it so that almost all of our adventures can be booked without having to make a phone call or without having to email. But that's one of the things where it's always best to call.
Just do it all online on your website?
Absolutely.
Okay. And talking about your groups, so you already mentioned church groups, corporate team building, I think would be so much fun to be able to do this with my office mates. The USO, the Wounded Warriors you spoke of.
Yes, ma'am. We've done a lot of military groups and look forward to doing more. Over the last few summers, our camps that come out have grown quite a bit. We have YMCA camps as well as some municipal camps, some church camps, church youth groups, Boy Scout troops, Girl Scout troops.
Right,
We do team building out there with corporate groups. We've had birthday parties out there, bachelor parties, bachelorette parties.
Homeschoolers and class field trips?
Homeschoolers and class field trips. Homeschooler groups, if you're a homeschooler family and you can get 10 people together, give us a call and we'll set you up with an exclusive group. It's really important for the homeschoolers too, because it gives them the social element that sometimes they don't always get in a homeschool environment.
Yeah.
and not just meeting other kids, but meeting other kids that are also being homeschooled.
Yes.
And that's where we've seen with the homeschool groups where they found it to be important is they wanted it to just be exclusive to their homeschooling groups.
You mentioned picnic tables, but let's say I want to have a birthday party there. Are we allowed to bring in our own food and just
Absolutely.
stay there for the party?
You can bring in your own food. We have a refrigerator in the office. Anything that needs to be cold can kept in there. You can roll in coolers. If you want to bring out a barbecue grill and cook, that's fine.
Okay.
There's a Domino's Pizza not too far from where we are. You can order pizza. You can do whatever you want. The only thing we ask is that no alcohol before people go out on the courses.
And you mentioned that there is a discount after 10 people. And I think you also mentioned there's a military discount, right?
We do a military discount for anyone who is in the military or has a veteran ID. And that discount, we're pretty strict about it because we've had some people who have asked for a military discount. And we've given it to them, and then they show up, and you look at them, and you say, you guys aren't in the military. You have your military ID with you? And no, we forgot it. So now we just ask if anybody wants the military discount, and we give them the promo code for it. When you check in, just show us your military ID or your veteran ID. No big deal. It doesn't have to be everybody in the group. It just has to be the person who booked it, and that's fine. And then for groups, if you have a group of 10 or more, we do offer a 10% discount. If you have a group of 20 or more, we do a 20% discount.
That's great.
And for groups, that's the only other time it's best to call us first. Is, if you have a group of 10 or 15 or 20, it's always good to give us a call because we can make it kind of an exclusive group for you.
Yeah.
And not necessarily have you in with a group that's open to the public. But the only way we can do that and still give you the discount is if we kind of know about it ahead of time and you call us and say, hey, we have 10 people.
Yeah. How far ahead of time would you need this information?
It's really odd. The last couple of years, we've noticed the buy cycle is getting shorter and shorter. And we seem to do most of our bookings on Wednesday, Thursdays, and Fridays now for the weekend, where it used to be, a week out, sometimes a week and a half, sometimes 2 weeks out. Yeah. Now, the people who are booking 2 weeks or more out, they're always very prepared for everything. And they're never disappointed with, there's no availability left or I don't have the time that I want. So it's always best to book as far out as you can, but we understand people want to check the weather and, especially here in the summertime, right? Keep an eye on the heat or keep an eye on when the rainstorms are going to be. We always get asked, are we going to get rain? Our forecast is the same day in, day out, right? It's chance of thunderstorm. And we go out rain or shine. The only time don't go out is if we have thunder and lightning. So if we're out on the course and a thunderstorm rolls in, we have the ability to lower people anywhere on the course, just like with a rescue and an assist. If the storm moves in fast enough, we just lower everybody from where they are. If we have notice, we watch a couple of different apps. We track the lightning. We watch the storms. If we have enough notice, we'll get people to the point where they're getting down off of one course, and then we'll get them back to the building. And if it looks like it's going to be a fast mover, we just let everybody ride it out. Yeah. Or if they've gotten almost all the way through black and we have to lower them, we just say, hey, it's just kind of what happens sometimes, But otherwise, we'll do a rain check for people. But most of the time this summer, I think we had 1 or 2 days where we had to evacuate the course because there was thunder and lightning coming in. And rode it out, and then everybody leaves. But when it rains a little bit during the summer here on the course, it's really kind of cool. It's pretty refreshing. Yeah.
Right? Yeah. Okay. Regardless of whether you're open year round.
We are open year round. This time of year, we kind of roll into our Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday schedule, because a lot of kids are back in school and there's not as many tourists down vacationing. But if you have a group of 4 or 5 or more, and you want to come out and do it on a Tuesday or a Wednesday, all you got to do is give us a call and we'll open up for you.
Nice. Okay. We spoke about the challenges of getting the courses built when you first got here. But what about your ongoing challenges? What do you face?
2 of the biggest things that we face really is, the insurance industry itself is constantly increasing rates. So our insurance rates are always going up regardless of whether there's, any kind of a claim or anything. Every year it goes up. But our biggest challenge really is that, we're in the South and we get hurricanes. Our course is built entirely in the trees. And more times than not, we're good, we're safe. We did have to do a rebuild twice. We had to do a rebuild when Hurricane Florence came through. And it wasn't so much the wind itself that did damage to the course, but it was that constant rain and everything was soaked. And then when the winds hit, they were just knocking trees over at the root ball.
Oh, yeah.
So it wasn't even like the trees were breaking or anything. They were just coming up, rooting up from the ground. And that's why when we joke with people and say, you'll tear the trees out of the ground before you'll break the zip lines. That's exactly what happened. We had on our red course, we had 4 or 5 trees that came out of the ground and fell over, and they were still connected by the lifelines, and they never fell all the way. The lifelines were holding them up. And the dangerous part with that is now you have all that weight and all that tension on those steel cables. And you can't just, cut those steel cables when you have that kind of tension on. You'll kill somebody.
Yeah.
So we had to call in a special crew from northwestern Pennsylvania, right on Lake Erie, who specializes in that kind of. So they had to mobilize and bring all their cranes and their equipment down to lift the trees and bring our builders back so that once they lifted the trees and took the tension off the wire, our builders could get in there and make the cuts. And our builders aren't, it's not just some guy from around the corner who builds these kind of courses, right? Our builder, most of those folks were based out of France and Canada. And so getting them back required visas and setting up a place for them to live. And what they do is they travel around the world building these courses. When people come out to tour the park, I always love to show them this, the way our course is built. So our builders, when they build it, they're not coming in with heavy equipment and building it. They're running ropes up the trees, and they're going up the trees on ascenders, it's a piece of equipment that allows the rope to just travel in one direction. So they're not using spikes like you see on lumberjack contests or anything like that. They're going up and working off of ropes and doing all the building off of ropes. And so they have to have really good carpentry skills, but they also have to be really good climbers. So they're not rolling in scissor lifts or high lifts or anything like that, because they don't want to do any damage to the roots of the trees, through compaction. So when we have repairs that need to be made, it's not like we can just call some guy from around the corner. You can't do a build yourself, because if you do a build yourself, you'll never get insurance on it. So there's some approved builders out there that you can use.
And it's a redesign, because you're tearing down the trees that were once the part of the original design. Those trees are gone now. Now you have to reroute things. I imagine it's a huge process.
It is. You can't just pick everything up off of the tree that it was originally on and move it to another tree, because that cable is cut for a certain distance and the element is designed for a certain distance. And then the way our course is built, we don't have anything really invasive into the trees. So we're not running giant spikes into the trees to hold the platforms up. Everything is done through compression. The upside for us is that as the tree grows, we can loosen up the compression a little bit, so that the platform is still allowing the tree to grow and not grow around it, right? Everybody's seen trees where, the fence is grown into the tree and how funny that looks. Well, the same thing could happen on a course like ours if you don't have a way of loosening up that compression system. But the other thing that people don't really think about is that sometimes trees shrink. You go through a drought, trees like loblolly pines, absolutely. Trees like loblolly pines will start to shrink in diameter a little bit as the water.
I had no idea.
So we can tighten our platforms up using that same kind of compression system. And again, without driving big spikes or lag bolts into the trees.
Since 1962, Lewis Realty Associates has helped generations of families create lasting memories and establish coastal roots across greater Topsail. Whether you're planning a beach vacation, searching for a long-term rental, buying your dream home or investment property, or just preparing to sell, Lewis Realty Associates' experienced, award-winning team offers expert real estate services and property management with unmatched local knowledge and treats each property like it's their own. They have 2 websites to serve your needs. You can visit vacationsontopsail.com for rentals or property management, or explore homes for sale at realestatetopsail.com, or just give them a call. Their number is 910-328-5211, and they are always happy to help. Lewis Realty Associates. Simply local, simply better. How is it watching people meet and overcome their fears?
It's a pretty amazing feeling. And it's, for Chris and myself, I think it's one of the main reasons that we decided to do this. We could have done any kind of business. And Chris tells that to the guides all the time during training. We could have opened up anything. We could have opened up a bar. We really love seeing people come out and enjoy themselves, but really seeing the transitions when somebody comes in and says, hey, I'm afraid of heights. I don't know if I'm going to be able to make it through this. And then suddenly they finish the course. Or I'm 55 years old. I'm 60 years old, and I'm recovering from cancer, and I've never done anything like. And this is on my bucket list. And
Wow.
if I can just finish green, I'll be happy. And they make it all the way through, or they'll make it through blue and come out, or having the Wounded Warrior groups come out and seeing how much those folks come out of their shells, and that that's a special place for me right there. With,
I bet
having folks come out and just be able to be themselves. The Wounded Warrior groups really do a great job. Military vets a lot of times kind of keep things closed in when they're around people who aren't their own, people who are civilians, and they never really kind of open up completely. But you get them back out there with other vets who've been through the other thing or the same things they've been through, and it's a different world for them. It's great to see it. It's great to see it. And even small kids who get up there and the first time they go through, they're struggling, and then the second time it clicks for them, and then they're racing through it. Or you have times where the kids start off in tears, and then they get down, and all they want to do is go do it again. And the same thing with adults. I mean, we've had adults in tears, didn't want to do it, scared, and then they've had a great time.
Along that same vein, do you have any memorable moments with your customers that really stand out to you that you could share with us?
There's some memorable moments. We've had some guests that we've been able to take up on a more one-on-one experience, like nonverbal autistics. We've had a blind gentleman that we were able to take up. We've had double amputees that we've been able to take up. And those are all great times, And then we have some not so great memories too. Sometimes the guests get themselves so worked up. We've been thrown up on and things like that.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Those kind of things happen too, right?
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, it all makes for great stories, and it's a lot of fun. Our biggest thing really is watching, because we try to make it as much experiential education as possible. So letting people go out there and hit their own limit and break through their own limit will provide as much coaching as they need. But really, we want it to be all about them. So when they come back and they're like, man, that's the best thing I've ever done. I never thought I would be able to do something like that. I can't wait to come back. I can't wait to tell everybody. And what I usually tell them is, now that you've done it, don't tell anybody you did it. Get some friends together and bring them out and act like you've never been
like
here
a
before.
Rock star.
Yeah, you go through, you rock star, and you're like, what's taking you guys so long?
That's hilarious. I just remembered seeing this on your website. You offer pictures?
We do. Our guides are up there taking pictures the whole time. It's a physical event, right? So sometimes the pictures are great and sometimes they're not so flattering.
Yeah.
The guide can only work with what they can work with. So if somebody's a hot, sweaty mess, the pictures are going to look like a hot, sweaty mess. But, we usually tell people, hey, if you notice the guide is taking pictures, at least kind of look in their direction and smile. Some people don't want to have their pictures taken, and that's okay. But most people enjoy having their pictures taken, and we try to get them in some of the better, more fun locations, like our Tarzan swing and the zip lines.
Nice. Earlier, you mentioned about the BACA group. Can you tell me a little bit about that?
Sure. So one of the groups that has come out for a couple years are Bikers Against Child Abuse. And they have a certain time of year where they have their kids party, and they bring the kids who are involved with their organization out to spend the day there. And anyone who's not familiar with Bikers Against Child Abuse, it's a great organization. They do a lot of great work for kids who are in the system, who have been abused, whether it's physical abuse or sexual abuse. And they are the absolute roadblock to the person who's perpetrated those crimes coming back and interfering with that child again. I mean, they take them under their wing and they treat them like they're their own.
Bless them, I declare.
And if you ever get to see those folks and see how they interact with the kids, it's amazing. And they are just amazing people. They give me the goosebumps every time I
Be sure
see
to
them.
tell them I want to interview them.
I sure
would
will.
love to talk to them.
I sure will. I will absolutely pass it along.
So they bring the kids out to Cape Fearless Extreme?
They bring the kids out to Cape Fearless Extreme. They let the families come out too. And a lot of these kids are in financial situations where they would never get to do something like this, So they bring them out and their families, and they get to go out there and have a great time. And we've seen a lot of really positive improvements in the kids just from the short time we've seen them. But I've had some of the members of BACA come up afterwards and say, we just saw this kid. He's always been in his shell, or she's always been in her shell. She doesn't want to talk to anybody. Got up on the course and they're like a totally different person now. And to me, that's just amazing that the transformation can happen.
That melts my heart.
Yeah. It's just amazing people. I hope that you are able to do an interview with them, because they are just a totally different breed of people, and their mission is just so important.
I will definitely be reaching out to them. Ron, we're at the last part of this. It's called Final Thoughts. And I always like to ask my guest, what is the one thing that you really want the listeners to know about you or you and Chris or Cape Fearless Extreme?
The biggest thing I would like to tell everybody about Cape Fearless Extreme is we are an extremely safe, family-friendly adventure. You'll make memories that will last a lifetime coming out to our park.
Truly.
We are open year-round. If you're somebody who doesn't like the heat, this is a great time of year to come out. Go on to our Facebook page, Cape Fearless Extreme, and you'll see lots of pictures. You'll see lots of videos. You'll get a really good idea of what we're all about if you've never been out there before. If you've been out before, we'd love to have people come back again. It's a tough time financially for a lot of people right now. You know, the economy's not doing so great. So we're going to do the entire month of October. If you get on our Facebook page, we're going to offer a discount code for 20% off for the entire month of October.
Ron, I love that.
Anything people book, you know, we want people to get out there and be able to have fun. And, And, you know, life is tough everywhere right now. And it would be a great time to get everyone out in the woods. Again, we're the only aerial adventure that's built entirely in the trees in the coastal Carolina area. We don't have any telephone poles. There are some other parks in the area that, you know, are built on telephone poles, and they're great parks, but ours is a completely natural experience. You're in the woods. You don't hear anything but the sound of the forest.
That's great. I can't wait to get back out there, actually. Okay, let's go ahead and talk about your location and contact information. Do you want to read that?
Sure. So we are located at 1571 Neils Eddy Rd in Riegelwood, North Carolina, 28456. Our telephone number is 910-655-2555. Our website is capefearless.com. If you're looking for an email address, info at capefearless.com. But the best place to get all the information and keep up with all of it is on our Facebook page. We also have Instagram, and we're just starting our TikTok page.
Are you really?
You're not going to see Chris and I doing TikTok dances. I can promise you that.
Oh, come on, Ron.
Maybe, well, I can't say I promise you that, but probably not. Probably not. But Facebook is really our big one. That's where we put out our videos and we put out our discounts. And more times than not, at least once a month, we do a flash sale where we have some pretty discounted pricing for people who want to kind of wait till that last minute.
But for the month of October.
20%
off.
Yep.
That's
October 1st, there'll be a post that goes out with a promo code where everything will be 20% off for the month of October.
All right. Well, that was it for us. Thank you, listeners, for joining us today. And I want to just say thank you, Ron. You've been a pleasure to speak with. I've really enjoyed our conversation. And thank you for also being Topsail Insider's very first episode in our Wilmington series.
We're looking forward to seeing more of the Wilmington series or hearing more of the Wilmington series. So we're excited to be here, and thanks for having us.
Thank you. Thank you for joining me today on Topsail Insider's Wilmington series. If you enjoyed today's episode, please hit the follow or subscribe button so you never miss an episode. If you're a business owner looking to be featured or interested in sponsorship or advertising, or if you simply want to offer some feedback or make recommendations, please don't hesitate to reach out. You can email me at topsailinsider@gmail.com or call or text 910-800-0111. And be sure to find and follow Topsail Insider on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube. So hey, let's do this again next week. I'll see you around Wilmington.